Hi, this is David Lang,
Matthew Sapp.
And Kevin Nutt.
and we're here to present our findings of our real estate appraisal on our selected property. So we chose a house in the Charlotte, North Carolina area that was for sale with 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms. The estimate, according to Zillow, was around $243,000. So we performed an appraisal to see how much we thought the house was worth. So here we have some pictures of the exterior and interior features of the home. So the first approach we did to kind of determine the value of the home was the cost approach. So with the cost approach, we found like the estimated replication cost. So like the cost that it would be to rebuild or replicate the house using like current materials and labor. And we found that using like a cost estimator website and entered in all like the features of the house. And then from that, we subtracted our estimated accrued depreciation. So for that, um, we based that on the fact that the home is 32 years old and assumed that it would have a useful life of 70 years. And then when we subtracted that, we got the depreciated cost of the building. And then we added the estimated value of the land, which was $40,000 to that to get the indicated value of our property using the cost approach, which was about $208,000 and 249 or $208,249. The estimated value of the land, we found that estimate off of the Mecklenburg County tax assessor's website. So these charts right here are just our cost to build calculations that we took off of that website. So a couple of notes about the cost approach, things we need to consider. It's typically not used for estimating the value of homes. Usually it's for unique structures or buildings such as like churches, libraries, something like that. The cost to build estimate that we came up with, we got all those numbers off of a website, and typically like that can vary a lot. So we don't know the exact features of like everything that goes into building the home. So that was more of a rougher estimate. Also the useful life estimate, we just chose 70 because that's a common useful life for many homes. But we're not entirely sure what its actual useful life is going to end up being. So that number can have a pretty big effect on the valuation using the cost approach. One positive about the cost approach is that the land value that we factor in is fairly accurate since county tax assessors appraise it frequently.
So the second approach that we did was a sales comparison approach, which we had to find 6 comparables, which happen all to be in the same neighborhood as our subject house, which is Harrison Hudson. So we adjusted based on the bed, the baths, the square footage, the lot size, the year built, and the garage. No adjustment was needed for the bed since they all came with 3 bedrooms. For the bath, we researched an estimate to see how much it would cost to add a bathroom, which was $8,869. For the square footage, we found the average price per square footage based on our 6 comparables, and then we subtracted the subject house square footage from the comparable square footage, and we multiplied that by that number to get our adjustments. For the lot size, we did some research to find how much one acre is, which is $6,230 in North Carolina. So again, like we did with the square footage, we subtracted the subject house from the comparable lot size and we multiplied it by that number, which is how we got our adjustments. For the year built, since all of our houses were built in basically around the same time period, we decided to use the value of $1,000. And we just did that by how many years it was different from the subject house, which is how we got our adjustments. For the garage, there was no adjustment needed since they all came with garages. And after that, we got our average price without the subject house, which was $2,050, $198.41.
And for the final approach is the income approach, which is divided into direct capitalization and the present value of future cash flows. And for the direct capitalization, we looked for the average monthly rent for a 3-bedroom house in Mecklenburg County, which is where Charlotte is, and we found that to be about $1,400. And for the cap rate, we use an estimator online as well as similar properties on Redfin and Zillow. We got around 7.1% for market cap rate. And same kind of procedure for the annual maintenance and collection losses. We just looked at other situations that were comparable, and that's about what they were doing. So we just use those numbers as well. And for the calculation of this price estimate, we use the PGI, which is the average monthly rent times 12 months, take out the collection loss, and take out the operating expenses to get the 14,364 for the net operating income. Since we didn't have information for any kind of miscellaneous income or capital expenditures, we just left those at 0. And once we divided the NOI by the cap rate, we got the $202,309.86. And for the discounted cash flows method, typical holding period is 10 years. So that's what we used. We used the NOI previously calculated in the direct capitalization. And for our discount rate of 3.78, that was used comparing mortgage interest rates for Charlotte. So like a comparable property, that'd be your interest rate for a mortgage, 3.78%. So that's what we use for our discount rate. And there's all the math. And once you add back the 202,309.86, which we just calculated with direct capitalization, we get the PV of our future cash flows at $257,389. And so these are the reconciliation of all of our estimates. In regard to weight, sales comparison is the most appropriate since it's a single family home. So we gave 65% of the weight to that. Cost is definitely more geared towards specialized buildings, but there's still information that can be valuable to find in using it. So we gave a 20% weight for that. And with the income approach, direct cap and discounted cash flows, that's more so on the investment side of things. Wouldn't be too commonly used on a single family home unless you're renting it out. So we just gave those 2 approaches of the income approach 7.5% each. And once all those weights are applied, our total our reconciled value comes to $239,406.37. And in comparison to the other estimates, it's very close to the final list price on Zillow, the Zestimate, and Redfin's numbers. And we think this is because since the sales comparison approach had so much weight in our final calculation and our comparable properties were basically in the same neighborhood, we don't find it surprising that our numbers are very close to Zillow's and Redfin's.
So the economic challenges faced by COVID-19. A majority of states, including North Carolina, have issued stay-at-home orders and have closed all non-essential businesses. Because of that, they are struggling to stay afloat as their revenue has essentially hit 0 with their closures. The main industries of Charlotte, such as the baking and energy industries, won't be affected as much. They won't be affected as much, but the motorsport industry will because they do large crowds of people, which can't happen anymore. So Congress has decided to pass the stimulus package, which a $2 trillion stimulus package, which if you make below a certain amount, you'll get $1,200. And the government also suggested that landlords freeze their collections, and government has also frozen student loans.